Okay, so we're live. Yeah, that was a little crazy. Get on my shot. My producer, Nick, today. Thanks again for your help, brother. Let me tell you something. Let me give you guys, guys and girls, a little bit of what's going on down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill, which is, of course, as you guys know, down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. Man, I did get it that time. Just goes to show you what drinking not too much beer will do for you. So, a lot of Bama fans and a lot of Georgia fans are here, of course, for that 4 o'clock start there for the SEC championship game. And I got a question for you, Florida State fans, because we hear about Florida State and the quarterback issues. And, of course, that's been one of the national narratives this week. So, and I posed a question, of course, as you guys and girls know, it's always at the dog park. I posed a question to a guy this morning. I'm like, again, yeah, so let me finish that first thought. So, yeah, Bama and Georgia all down here, and I saw that, and there's definitely, I would say it's probably maybe 60-40, maybe 65-35, 65 being Alabama, Crimson Tide, of course, and of course Georgia, which it's a little bit, I guess it's SEC, it's Alabama, and of course Georgia going for their third consecutive national title, or trying to get there, getting it, and of course you realize the only way Georgia's not number one ranked in the 4 teams that'll play in this year's 4-team playoff. They'll be seeded after this weekend, of course, championship weekend. Welcome to championship weekend down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. But again, 65-35, maybe 60-40, but a lot of Georgia fans. But for some reason down here, of course, it all depends on who calls coach, who calls down to Ferg's here to get that party set up. They say, hey, we're going to have a watch party. Of course, you guys and girls know throughout the entire season, FSU pretty much runs it down here on Saturdays when the Seminoles are playing. And that's my question. Oh, and comments. I already got 2. Let me get them in here because that's what we're all about here. And I appreciate y'all. Christopher Cole. Good evening, Ray. Christopher, thank you. Great to see you. Good evening, my friend. I hope you're enjoying Championship Saturday here on Saturday. Well, that was pretty redundant. And Tristan says my audio is good. Tristan, thank you again. I love you, brother. Of course, he's my son, so I'm allowed to love you. So I posed this to Florida State fans because now we're talking about with Stonebrook. Is it? I apologize for I had the name, but it just escaped me. The second string quarterback behind Travis Young, now I'm really showing my age. Now Florida State's down to their third string quarterback, and even when it was their second string quarterback, of course, Florida State plays tonight in the ACC championship versus Louisville. Talked to a guy that knows a lot about football today, and he's like, Louisville's not a joke. Louisville's not a team to be taken lightly. I'm like, yeah, but the Noles, and they're like, no, you understand that if it truly is an issue that the Florida State Seminoles are having against them, and they got it, the third string quarterback because of the concussion protocol with the second string quarterback, that is an issue, and that is what I pose to you guys and girls here on a championship Saturday from down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill is. We go to a playoff system because it was always going to be a problem with the way the coaches poll and the AP poll would seat these teams for the national championship. And I can remember throughout the years, there seemed to be more years than not where we were okay with the way the seedings went. But there was always those years where you'd go, oh, come on. And, of course, we saw it last year. I don't want to say with TCU, but they get into that 4-game playoff. They get their backsides waxed in the playoff game, but you're like they earn their way in. And a lot of the pundits now, because here's the thing, is, of course, next season we go to a 12-game format, and eventually it'll be a 16 to 20-game format. And these poor college kids, and, of course, we're going to do away with the entire student-athlete moniker altogether because basically with name, image, and likeness, NIL, and these things these days, these kids pretty much are professional athletes, even though they're still doing it at respective schools, still making I get so many Alabama and Georgia fans down here. Saw a few Appalachian State fans down here, but that's it for these 4 o'clock games. And I'm sure tonight in the Florida State. In fact, I actually led this show with the fact that the Seminoles have a watch party down here. I will not be surprised if you come down here to Ferg's on a Saturday night, championship Saturday. You're a Noles fan. You're a Florida college football fan, first of all. Why aren't you a USF Bulls fan? As Coach Gullish and those Bulls in 2023 get bowl eligible with that victory last week. But it'll be a big Noles washout party out here. And why wouldn't you? It's what, December 2nd? It's about, right now, it's probably about 82 degrees out here, but it'll be probably in the mid-70s tonight. A little bit of humidity back in the year, which, guys and girls, don't forget, the humidity is one of the reasons why people moved down to Florida so many years ago. Andrew Faubert, Andrew, brother, Ray, Andrew, I hope you're feeling better. I saw we had to cancel North Sports Dynasty last night. I hope you're feeling better, brother. Look forward to that show you got planned for next week or the following week. Christopher says, I've got a question. Has Tristan picked any colleges yet? Christopher, man. By the way, I sound like let me make sure I'm centered here. I'm going to sound a bit like a stalker. Saw you post a reel the other day. It was just so fantastic and had great music behind it. Spend a little time on your page, but that's what we do. That's what this entire social media and everything's all about is we got friends, we got people who we speak with or we talk with, and we have this friendship thing. And then also you can go and when you have a little time, you can go say, how are they doing? Let's do an update. And I had a chance to watch that reel you posted, and it was fantastic. But no, he hasn't. But then don't forget, Christopher, he's literally still a freshman. Got to play varsity this season. Of course, Tristan's doing great with the football. He's also doing great with the academics and pretty much anything else he puts his mind to with future business leaders of America. So he's probably going to make it out. I think if Tristan had to pick today, 100%. Of course, he's down here. He just got picked up. He was down here helping me all set up down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. But he was, as all these TVs in here, I talked about it's like, 65 to 35 maybe with your Bama versus Georgia. As far as the over 100 televisions that Coach Ferg has down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill, it's probably about, because if don't forget the Appalachia State and Troy game is literally on ESPN, but probably of the 100 televisions, we'll round it at 100, probably 75 of them throughout here do have the Alabama, Georgia, the Bulldogs, and the Crimson Tide game on, and the other 25 do have App State versus Troy. And so Tristan found him a nice big TV. He had that game on, and I went and I asked him, Tristan, how's it going? He said, of course, don't forget. And what you get down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill is you got the DJ up in there, and they're running it through all the speakers. So that's the big game. On Sundays, it's the Buccaneers game. Buccaneers take precedent 100% of the time, and they got the game over the intercom. And the best thing about it is during commercials, during timeout breaks and half times, you got a live DJ playing music, so it's entertaining. And then the moment the game's back on, you can actually spend a little time talking to the rest of your party, people you're hanging out down here, hanging out with, watching the game. And the moment the game comes back, you're ready for that third quarter start with the kickoff there after halftime. DJ will have it back over the intercom, so you don't have to even worry about it. They'll take care of it for you. And that's probably one of the reasons why people enjoy so much watching sports down here. And you get a big game like the SEC championship game down here, and it comes back. Crimson. I haven't seen this many Alabama. I haven't seen this many Alabama people since the premiere of Forrest Gump. Alabama. But no, thank you, Christopher. Hasn't chosen school yet, but I'm sure he would. I was going to finish that with Appalachia State, right? But maybe USF, maybe Coach Coalition, what they got going on now down there and how they're turning the program around. I talked about legacy with Peter Blake and I as we were covering for Amped Up Sports, covering the Bulls, being credentialed this year. And I'll tell you guys and girls what. Let me get to Andrew Fober's got a comment here. Andrew says, Tristan would look good as a Gator. I'll tell you what, Tristan, you've seen the way this kid plays and the way he approaches practice and everything. Tristan looked good anywhere, but Gator, yeah. Andrew, you're really hitting me where it's, because I'm down here again, tonight for the ACC championship game. It'll no doubt be packed with Florida State Seminole fans. So I'm going to go back and pose this with you guys and girls. The national narrative this week, let's not hide it. We always used to be mad. We want to go to a playoff. We want to expand it. And let's be honest, guys, girls, at the end of the day, it's about this, right? It's always about the money. And you get a playoff and you get everything equal and you end up getting a perfect championship game after you get next year with 12 teams down to 6, down to 12 teams down to 6. I'm not sure how that even works. But you end up getting your championship game and you're going to continue building up that, just like you do with the Super Bowl in the NFL. And you're going to get those teams in there and you're always. And the thing about it this year with James Madison University, they tried, because of course they moved up and they moved up into FBS, and they try, and the rule is you move up, you got to wait 2 years. And I think I'll be honest with you, maybe you guys and girls can share with me how you feel about that. I thought that rule was kind of silly, that you're going to go up in division. You're going up to a division. And let's just use Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes for an example. Let's say Coach Deion didn't go to a division, didn't go to an FBS big top of the like the Colorado Buffaloes, but he went to something else. And I'm not going back to Jackson State, but I'm just saying, let's say he goes to James Madison University and they jump up. Even with the fact that Coach Sanders was going to pull students from all over the country and use that portal, which we're seeing coaches use more and more these days to get teams successful. Excuse me for a minute. Wouldn't be a cup of Ray if I didn't have a cup of beer. But I think it's silly that you're going to tell teams that you're going up a division, but you got to wait 2 years to be bowl eligible. I get it if you're going down, because you don't want to see teams that are like middle of the road and they're like, all of a sudden all their provosts and all at the school have a meeting and they go, hey, you know what? If we jump down a division, we'll rock it. We could win a national title at a lower level division, or a Division I AA, or a division whatever. And of course, in that instance, you'd be like, well, yeah, you should definitely. And maybe I'm assuming it's also 2 years as well, but maybe it's even longer. But when you've got a team like James Madison, who's been playing pretty good the last couple of years, step up. But Appalachia State beat them, don't forget, in overtime last game, 2 weeks ago, or was it last week? So JMU, they shouldn't have spoke too soon. But they get into the game, and the reason why I'm mentioning all of that is because there was not enough teams had 6 wins to even qualify, that they would be able to knock them out. And even though James Madison had more than 6 wins, quite a few more, they end up getting in, even with the appeal being denied by the NCAA, they end up getting in because not enough teams had 6 wins. And here's the weird thing. I'm going to go ahead and post this out here. Oh, Tim, I got to get this out here. Brother. What's up, Ray? Tim, what's up, brother? Good to see you. I got my regulars, and I can't tell y'all how much that means to me to be able to talk with y'all. I'm going to ask you some questions. I want y'all to come in here. It's all about the Benjamins. Christopher Cole, 100%. Always about the money. And it always has been. We go back to, all the President's Men and Al Pacino and Robert Redford, and, going back to the Nixon administration and Watergate, and a famous line, of course, with Deep Throat. Not even close to 10 o'clock. I am not going to go where that reference could take me. But, yeah, follow the money. Follow the money. And, of course, that's the way it is with these days. Talking about student athletes no longer even, they're actually going to remove the student athlete moniker altogether, because let's be honest, these kids, these players, these college kids, they're playing as professionals. They're playing in programs that are derived upon the funds they receive and the monies they receive, and it's all about the Benjamins. So Christopher Cole, best comment up till now. I appreciate you, brother. I'm going to jump off to James Madison. I work back to Florida State, because let's be honest now, Florida State Seminole fans, you guys have heard the narrative this week. Oh, it's not Travis Hunter. It's got to be maybe they're not as good as they thought they would be. They still have some dogs on that team. Mike Norvell's still got some dogs on that Florida State Seminoles team. But we heard the narrative. Well, what if this happens? What if Alabama were to give Georgia a game? And right now, of course, it's 7-3, about just under 4 minutes left in the first quarter. But so far, Georgia's looked every bit the 2-time defending national champion that they are in this SEC championship game. But what if Alabama were to beat Alabama down here? What if Texas, who had a great performance today versus the Oklahoma State Cowboys, they dominated. The score may not say as bad as they dominated, but let's be honest, the Texas Longhorns dominated that game. And they're sitting number 7. And you're trying to pose, well, maybe Sarkisian, maybe Texas belongs up in that top 4 too, because at the end of the day, as football fans, and I'm not saying that FSU Seminole fans don't have a dog in that fight. I'm trying to rile y'all up. Come on, comment in here. Come at me with this. How y'all feel? With the Longhorns, if the Florida State Seminoles are playing a 17th string quarterback, even with the dogs they have, let's be honest, at this level, even in collegiate football, as well as the National Football League, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, I'm not going to go there. Maybe we will if y'all want to go there. They got a 3rd string quarterback, 4th string because of the concussion protocol, and of course the leg injury. They got whatever string quarterback, and the people that seat these bowl games, again, all about the Benjamins, Christopher Cole. They all of a sudden look at this and they go, you know what? Honestly, at the end of the day, we think the Seminoles, undefeated, have earned this, but the Seminoles played a bit of a soft schedule. The ACC is such a down division right now, as it's been teams moving around, and we see all this realignment. A Texas Longhorn, or if Alabama were to beat Georgia here in the SEC championship game, or I'm trying to think of the other one. Who's Iowa playing tonight? Michigan. No, Michigan's at number 2 is a solid. Ohio can't get back in there, but there are some other teams that, if some things would have happened, all of a sudden question whether your Florida State Seminoles should be seated there at number 4. And I'm asking you all today, how do you feel about that? Is it really, because we saw again what happened last year with TCU, is it really all about seeding the best 4 teams that will give us the best, most competitive team? And are you, or should anybody be there to say that with a little couple of extra weeks that Norvell has a chance to get his quarterback ready or gets his second string quarterback out of the concussion protocol? Should anybody even be talking about the fact that maybe this team should possibly be considered to go ahead of the Florida State Seminoles? Or has their undefeated season again, even in a weakened ACC schedule in 2023, has that not earned the Seminoles the right to be there at number 4? I ask you because I'm asking you because it's I'm not asking because I generally want to know, but I also because it's the national narrative. And that's what this Cup of Ray and the Sports Web here is all about, is giving you all a chance to tell me what you guys think so we can talk to each other. And I want to know what you thought. I know you all have heard about it this week. I'm sure you all have heard about it this week. And what do you think? Christopher Cole says, it shouldn't matter who's the quarterback. Is if you're undefeated, then you deserve to be in. Yes. I see that, Christopher. Even though I don't think they'll be as competitive without Travis Hunter there, without Hunter at quarterback, I still think that the Florida State Seminoles going undefeated has to be recognized. And I'll tell you why. Because I've always been one of these people that's, I'll be honest. I'm always honest. I tell you all I'm honest. I've always been one of those people that goes, hey, if a team gets into a bowl, I've always went, is that the criteria now for a bowl game? So you can work it down to the 85th bowl game that they're basically playing the night after Thanksgiving or a Black Friday night bowl game, and it's called the National, or it's called the Toilet Bowl, and it's from wherever. But then this season with the USF Bulls and what Coach Golesh has done there with the USF Bulls, and I see the Bulls get to 6 victories after going with 2 wins and going through what they did in searching for their quarterback, and now they see coach. I'm sorry. With Byron Brown, they also had their quarterback bury the lead. But what they did now and what Coach Golesh has done to improve, and it's, again, not just because we were credentialed this year and we've been covering them, so we've got our eyes on them and we've been focusing more on them. The fact of the matter is that not only the school, USF, which is, to me, the best learning institution in the entire state of Florida, no offense, FSU, UF, Miami, UCF, whatever that's all about. And maybe you guys have heard the rumor, and we heard this rumor last week, literally, as Coach Golesh and those Bulls become bowl eligible, is like, well, maybe, just maybe, Gasparilla Bowl, your USF Bulls versus the USF, the UCF, and we reignite the war on I-4. And so what's weird about that is I think that in the past it was always about, in Florida here in January, or January 1st, of course, when we're playing the ReliaQuest Bowl. In this case, it would be the Gasparilla Bowl the week before. Ideally, you want very strongly supported colleges from Juneau, Alaska, and like North Buffalo, highly supported, because for the people that support these bowl games, you want 2 colleges that are going to bring a lot of fans here, because you want to, at the end of the day, for a bowl game, you want to pack all the hotels in town. Of course, every year you have your big parties around here, your recognitions, you have your, the players, the students, they come out here and they're not only admired for what they've done, but, it also builds to the entire fever of having a bowl game. And I think that Tampa Bay, we're very fortunate. The reason why the NFL is still here, and the reason why the NFL came here initially, was because, in January, February, or now the Super Bowl's in February, we kind of have some nice weather down here, whereas maybe the other 80% of the country nowadays with indoor stadiums. But at the end of the day, even if you have an indoor stadium there, sorry, Minneapolis, but even if you have an indoor stadium there, you're still trying to have all these events, and you're whisking people around with Uber and Lyft, because at the end of the day, it's 10 below out there. And of course, here in Tampa Bay, you've got this beautiful weather. You're out on the beaches, you're getting swimming, you're getting a nice sunburn, you're coming down to support your team. So in the past, it was always to try to get teams that were going to bring good fan bases in. And you see that with the ReliaQuest Bowl, and last year with the Fighting Illini and Mississippi State, where it was like, Mississippi State, but still with the Illinois or Fighting Illini, great crowd over there for the 2022 ReliaQuest Bowl. But when you talk about what would a Gasparilla Bowl look like if it was USF versus UCF, reigniting that I-4 war, the natural hatred between Tampa and Orlando. I was going to ask her, but she doesn't look like she wants to come on. Then I'm all for it. And it's not just because I've bought in on these, my glasses keep falling down. It's not just because I've bought in on these Bulls in 2023, which buried the lead I have, but it's also because even if that's not going to pack all of our hotel, hey, there's my guy. Even if it's not because it's going to pack all of our hotel rooms out on the beaches, at the end of the day, that's going to be a great game. And I'm not sure. And of course, don't forget, Hoople was the former coach at UCF, and of course, Alex Golesh was his offensive coordinator there. He followed him to Tennessee with the Tennessee Volunteers, where Hoople still is. And of course, Golesh came here this year, this 2023, and became your USF Bulls head coach. So not only is there that whole, not that Hoople's still there, he's still in Tennessee, but of course, he was a former coach, or OC. Coach Golesh was there at at UCF there in Central Florida, the Mickey Mouse University, I think they call it. So you'd also have that tie-in too. That also would help buy that lead. There's one of those things where every year I think there should be college teams that play each other, and USF should play you at UCF. It should be a home and away every year. So don't see too many of y'all talking about this. So I'm going to go ahead and transition. We can bring it back to college if y'all want to do it. Of course, I'm still trying to. There's everybody out here so entranced in this SEC championship game, which could have major implications on the 4 teams that play in a bowl game. So I'm not expecting too many people to come on here crazy right now, but maybe at halftime we can get a few here. And by halftime, I should be dropping or ending here a couple race. So, and if y'all want to come in, let me know. I was a little bit tiffed this week because I made it known to basically everyone I knew that we're going to go to the Bucks Panthers game tomorrow. And I'm not even going to tell y'all because someone who covers the Bucks and they know that I know more than the average bear as far as the Buccaneers and the team. I would pose that I actually know probably less than most of y'all Bucks fans out there. The 1-10 Panthers are going to beat the Bucks. The Bucks are going to lose the 1-10. They're going to lose to a rookie quarterback. They're going to lose to an interim coach. And I know we've seen that narrative. And I also know that sometimes you can think things into existence. I just don't see it happening with this 2023 Buccaneers team. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Maybe you all can share with me. Why are you going to the game this week? Why are you going to the game? Well, first of all, because I went on Game Time. I'm going Ticketmaster, and there's great tickets still available, basically face value, and you have to pay the surcharges and stuff. But we're not talking about, Tom Brady quarterback rates, but we're talking about the fact that you can get great price tickets for these games. So first of all, second of all, I'm going to go here with you guys, girls. Let me get Brandon, my guy in here. Talk about Michigan-Ohio State game. Brendan, why don't you talk about the Michigan-Ohio State game? Michigan locked it in. I rooted for Michigan so hard, and I still do, although I'm always an underdog. And one would pose that the Ohio State Buckeyes were a bit of an underdog in that game. I don't know if Coach Harbaugh saw it coming. Brandon, I'm sorry. I'm going to go. Look, you haven't come to the dog park. I've been here every day, bro. Where y'all been? I don't mean to go scorched earth on you, but the fact of the matter is I'm so tired with Coach Harbaugh, he's going to self-suspend himself. He's going to stay home this week. He's going to, and of course, now with another the whole thing, even though I'm not saying Coach Harbaugh had anything to do with that young kid, college student, whatever, sports major, whatever the kid was that was, filming the signals from the opposing team from the sideline and all that. I don't want to go there. Every team still does that. Baseball still steals signs. I'm so tired of it. Unless you're using garbage cans and you're banging out like the Houston Astros, I get it. But let me go ahead. I can't, brother. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. We tried like heck. Oh, look at me. I'm wearing shorts, by the way. That's how nice it is here in Florida. Look at that. Let me show some of these legs. But I can't, brother, because it's not. I don't got the sound working on my soundbar. First quarter, 7-3 Georgia. It's a close game. And if you looked at the way the Georgia Bulldogs came out of the gates, and there's actually someone over here who actually has a Georgia Bulldog. Here comes my guy. Oh, he's going to ignore me. I'm going to get him over here. Oscar's going to come in here. This is one of the coolest cats I know. I've done so many shows with him down here. Come on. I got him. This is awesome. So I got you in here.
What's going on?
You got a little camera. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. It's good to see you.
What are you doing down here?
Visiting my buddy. We've got like 6 screens up in his apartment right now. We're watching everything college football. You know how it goes, man. Come on.
Let me ask you real quick. I do know how it goes. I want to ask you, of course, right now, 7-3 into the first quarter. I think it's – oh, yeah. Go ahead. Get your beer, too. That's important.
Let me get this up.
In fact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cheers.
Alabama beats Georgia. That shakes it up.
Yeah.
But Florida State's now possibly down to their 3rd-string quarterback. They get the 2nd string. Should the Florida State Seminoles, just on undefeated season alone, get into that 4-game bowl game, or is there other teams that might jump them?
So me, Mike, Alex have been talking about this at length for some weeks now.
On a Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection, locking it down.
Yes. Absolutely. It's it's tough because you have to respect it, but at the same time, add context to the season. Not only is it the third string quarterback, but it's the resume, man. If we go all the way back, the LSU win was great. The Clemson win was great. You struggled against BC. You struggled to keep it. You struggled to keep it right against Pitt.
Yeah.
Even Pitt was a tough game
in a weak ACC.
In a weak ACC. Even Louisville, it was not good for them that Louisville lost to UK. Even though that was a rivalry game, that wasn't good for them. So I think even with that, right, it's tough. And at -1, it's screaming take Louisville. It's screaming that.
And I heard, like, I talked to a guy today, and I got to be honest with you. I know Louisville. I go back with Louisville and Teddy Bridgewater, but this guy this morning is like, yo, don't give up on Louisville. They got a team.
No, absolutely not. So I went down to the U. I actually saw Canes versus Louisville a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Jake Plummer's the real deal. That QB is good. And the coach that they brought in, I forget where from, but the coach they brought in has turned this program around.
Right.
Now they have a 10-2 season. They have a chance to win the ACC. And I don't think they're going anywhere because none of these guys are graduating.
Yes.
And nobody's really picking them off right now on the portal. Do not sleep on Louisville to beat FSU this weekend.
And Texas's performance against Oklahoma State today, they were strong.
It was strong. It was convincing. But will the committee respect a dominant win over Oklahoma State that's been wildly inconsistent?
Who's also been very inconsistent.
Very
100%.
inconsistent. Yes, yeah. And if you look at Texas, look at what Texas did while Ewers was out. You look at the K-State game, they were up by like 30, let them come back in.
Yes.
The BYU game, let them come back in. It was a lot of barely covering teams. I think there were 1-5 versus the spread over the last 6 weeks.
But like you said, them being the opposing team in tonight's ACC championship, not great for Florida State. So yeah, but Florida State, I'm thinking we're thinking here that Florida State either has to win ugly or lose this game. Otherwise, if they solidify themselves, at least a chance to beat number 4.
I think so. I think so. And look, just off the strength of the committee, it's a bad precedent to set that if they win, you keep them out. Not many undefeated teams left, right?
Right.
If you look at that, you got Michigan. Michigan's probably going to win this weekend, right? Even though Iowa's defense is pretty good, Michigan's probably going to win.
Yes.
FSU's probably going to be one of the last teams that are undefeated if they do win. It's for the committee. It's such a rock and a hard place not to let this team in.
Last question, because first of all, I got to tell you, I've been trying to get this cat because we've been on the Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection, but I've been saying, come down and do this with me. We'll do this again soon.
Absolutely.
Last question. If Alabama somehow down 7-3, if they do eke a win out here, it at least builds that suspense for Tuesday's announcement for the top 4.
It definitely builds suspense, but I don't know if they win it on their own merit, right? They win this game, they may need some help, and the only help they can get right now is FSU. I think that's the only help that they have left. If you look at that, right, the worst part about this is your one loss is Texas. And Texas did not go out quietly this season, right? We just talked about it.
True, yes.
Massive win over Oklahoma State. So you look at that and you look at Alabama. I've been a big Alabama fan for the past few weeks.
Yes.
They've absolutely rolled Tennessee. They beat the LSU. That was a great win.
Yes.
UK, that was a great win.
Yes.
They've looked great recently, and Milroe's gotten better and better and better. But at the same time, the one team ahead of them, if they get some help, is a team that already beat them once. And it's tough to say they can get in with that type of scenario.
Okay, I'm going to let you go because let me tell y'all something. This guy right here, he's got a party going on all the time. But, hey, is Arch Manning going to get a Heisman before it's all said and done?
Get out of here. No. You're going to see him for 1 quarter. Get out of here. No.
I'm saying, they say he's actually too good a quarterback. He puts it too perfect. But it's going to take a lot.
I'm excited to see Arch Manning next season. There's a lot that we're excited to see. Look, this is the swan song of what college football is for the past, or what it's been for the past 20, 25 years.
Yes.
We're now getting to a massive realignment here.
12 teams next year in the playoff.
Teams. Don't sleep on. Oh my gosh, Alabama gets a touchdown. Hey,
so they're up
7
right now.
Don't sleep on the tide here, baby. Come on,
brother. Thanks. Oh no, go ahead. Finish.
No, I was gonna say, look, Arch Manning. We saw what he was able to do. What was that in that game? Was it BYU or a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Saw what he was able to do. I love to see that out of him. I want to see him next season. I think Ewers is probably going to go to the league after this season. Arch Manning, time to step up. Excited to see you.
Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, back and forth. There are some dogs coming out next year at quarterback that I think that the Jason Light and the Buccaneers are going to have to at least look at because they're not going to be drafting in the top 10 based on their schedule right now and how they'll still do in a week NFC South 2023. There's some dogs out there. They probably got a nice pick from, so the Buccaneers might have to go. There you go, San Diego State University. Oh, South Dakota State. You thought San Diego State, too,
I
right?
did too. I
Okay.
did too.
All right.
I don't know too many people walking around with the South Dakota State. Yeah.
That's okay. And y'all came to Fergs to watch the game, right? That's a testament to the best sports bar in Tampa Bay. All right.
The beer in my hand, I'm sorry.
What's the team? Hey, bro. What's the team's nickname?
The Jackrabbits.
That's right, the Jackrabbits. Well, good
Okay.
luck to y'all, Jackrabbits. And he's about to come off here. Y'all want to come back over and talk about the Jackrabbits? Please do so. He's about to come off. I got to get this cat going. He's got a party going every minute of the day. I
Go
get go on. Go
Jackrabbits.
Jackrabbits. Y'all have a great evening.
So this QB draft, man, it's crazy, right?
Yes.
We saw.
Okay, wait. Penix or Knicks last night? Penix or Knicks? Just based on last night's
man.
performance.
So I've been
It's
talking about
tough.
this for weeks, man.
Yes.
Look, Oregon, Knicks has rolled every team he's played except Washington. You have to give respect to Penix, man. Penix has been doing a great job. If you even go back, as you know, I'm a Spartan, Michigan State, go
Yes,
green.
I do know.
It's a weird year to say go green, but hey, I'm go green for life. Michigan State played Indiana for homecoming a couple years ago.
Right.
I saw Penix close up front. He
Yes.
put up about 35 points on my team. This guy can throw the ball.
He reads defenses. Like
Oh
it's a-
my
like
God,
it's a
he's
big print book.
surgical. And how many times this season has the defense given the ball to Penix and said, please get us a first down so we can win this game? Time after time. Last week, Washington State, we can keep going back. Arizona State, not Stanford, but what's Caleb Williams? What's USC?
Right.
So many times he's been in the fourth quarter of these games, and it's been like, if I don't get a first down, we're probably going to lose this game.
And he comes
And he
through.
comes
Yes.
through.
100%.
Penix has to be in your conversation for number 1 and number 2 for the Heisman with Jaden Daniels. If you're asking me who I want Penix. Absolutely.
Brother. Now, let me ask you, though, because Washington Huskies, they got dogs up front on the offense and defensive line. So
Absolutely.
they give him the time to make that read.
They do.
Any, you saw him up close. Is there any, when he transitions to the National Football League and the D lines are running 4.5s, is there any worry about, or does that kid just have enough to be able to learn it and be able to become a professional quarterback?
I think you can't hurt him for what's happening
No.
on that side. Right. If they give him time. But we have to be able to see what his learning curve is. I think the transition from Big Ten to Pac-12 showed that he can learn and
Good
transition.
point.
So I think he can transition from the college football and go to the NFL and make that same sort of learning curve and that adjustment.
And I'll tell you why, because Baker, we only got him 1 year. Trask is in his last, so we're like, okay, everybody's like, it would behoove the Bucs not to consider drafting a quarterback.
Right.
And the more I've looked at Penix, I'm like, I would not mind seeing what that experiment looks like. And I wouldn't call it experiment. I'd just say what that looks like.
Absolutely. I'd love to see what that looks like. But look, don't sleep on the fact that Bo Nix is going to be in this draft. Don't sleep with the fact that Drake May is going to be in this draft. Caleb, there's a lot of good QBs that are coming out of here. And in a year where we've seen a lot of backups in the NFL,
Record-setting rookie starting this year.
there's a high demand for these guys who can come in, change a team like that.
Brother, I could talk to you for an hour. I don't want to keep you, but we'll do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Oh, God bless. Tell everyone look in that little camera right there and tell them where they can find you, bro.
Hey, man, you can find me on Instagram _Oscar, OSCAR, Garner, GARNER _. And if you check out Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection,
From Pee Wee's Preps to the Pros.
Pee Wee's Preps to the Pros, you will find all content that I do there. We do a show on Mondays called Big Monday, and then we do Saturdays down here at Fergs.
Locking it
God
down.
bless you. Come on.
Come here. I love you, brother.
Good to see you, brother.
Oh, God, thanks for finally stopping. I finally got you. You're going to put it right down there. We're going to do this again. We're going to do this again, right? Hey, one more time. Cheers. Go enjoy some football. I love my guy. I did not realize how tall he was. I'm like, Oscar, I look up to you, literally. But, yeah, he's talking some good ball. And, of course, as we talked, literally, the Crimson Tide take the lead there, which to me just says it's a great game. But at the end of the day, also starts to make Florida State Seminole fans. I think Oscar made a great point that even with that one loss and the FSU Seminoles being undefeated, you'd still controversial. Yeah, you'd still have to try. It'd still be a reach to go ahead and try to, because Alabama and Nick Saban, they bump ahead. No, Georgia. Now, does Georgia losing to Alabama and the fact that Georgia would be a one-loss team, does that make Alabama jump into the 4 and move Florida State up to 3? You guys and girls tell me. Let me go back to these comments. I just love talking to my guy. We're going tomorrow morning. Are you really, Brendan? Oh, that's fantastic. And Brendan, I know you'd like to talk about these Lions, and I'll tell you all what. I want to get back because I'm going to tell you something about what I'm watching with the in-season Hard Knocks with the Miami Dolphins, which I know Brendan doesn't have anything to do with the Lions. Nelson Rodriguez says Bucs will win 100%. And let me tell you why. Devin White's out. Levante David's out. The entire defense is out. No, they still have their front. You got Kalijah Kancey, who is the NFC Defensive Player of the Month. And I'll tell you all a story right now. Oh, Brendan says this guy is good. Yeah, I'm telling you what. I knew from the moment I met Oscar, we were talking. We do a radio show, and I would pose if you see how good that guy looks. I may have a face for radio, but he definitely could do whatever medium. Michigan State Spartan. Of course, Brendan, I forgot about that love too. But yeah, no, great guy. So check him out. Definitely on Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection. Mike Rickard. I'm down here usually. When I get down here, we do a radio show on Saturdays. It's literally all over Tampa Bay across 25 radio stations. So why do we spread it out? Because we want to spread the love. Check Oscar out. Yeah, he's great. And he knows. And he's actually a basketball and he's actually a golf guy, which is ironic because golf here in Florida is kind of popular. We kind of have some tournaments. We got some dogs living in Jupiter or over in Orlando and golfing right here. So check out Oscar. He will have you covered. Thank you, Brendan, for that. Brendan also says, isn't the CFP selection show tomorrow? Okay, maybe it is, brah, because today's championship Saturday. I said Tuesday because usually it is Tuesday. I didn't do my homework that deep because I've kind of been getting ready for this Bucks-Panthers game tomorrow. Tim Haynes says, Nana just scored a touchdown. Alabama, yes, they did, Tim. Thank you. And Brendan says, yeah, Bama just scored. They're up 10-7. So, and you should have heard this place. Maybe y'all did, hopefully, over heard the place go crazy because, again, I told you, a lot of Crimson Tide fans here, even though Georgia comes in as the two-time defending national champion. And that's what you do. Even if your team's not supposed to win. Thank you, Brendan, for that. Even if your team's not supposed to get the victory, even if your team has one loss and they're having an off year, and they don't have Mac Jones or Tua Tagovailoa, or they don't have their, whomever, Justin Hurts or Jalen Hurts 10 years ago, you still come and support your team. And that works me back to what I was saying about going to the Bucks-Panthers game tomorrow. 4:05 start. They flexed it. Honestly, guys and girls, maybe y'all can tell me how you feel about this. It's the first time I've heard of a game being flexed to the 4 o'clock because it wasn't a popular game. And, of course, the NFL and Fox wanted to clear the 1 o'clock slate for the Eagles-Niners game. I get that. Haven't heard of it, and maybe it's just because I'm a Bucs fan, and the last couple of years we've kind of been doing okay and haven't worried about our team getting flexed the opposite direction. Haven't heard about a game getting flexed to the 4:05 slot to make way for a better game at 4 o'clock. And again, tomorrow's game between your Bucs and the Carolina Panthers, two NFC teams, which usually NFC games are on Fox, is on CBS. And I'd also pose to you guys and girls to go back and remember this. We were growing up, and it wasn't like growing up like, when I was growing up, it was uphill to school both ways, 20 miles and this stuff. No, this is talking about just a couple of years ago. You'd never see CBS ever giving Fox or Fox ever giving CBS or somebody giving Amazon and Jeff Bezos or trying to backdoor and give ESPN. You'd never see. No, we're NFC. We paid $17 gazillion for the NFC rights, and the other team we paid 13 gazillion for the AFC rights. I'm kidding. I put down the AFC. Everybody knows the NFC rules. But you'd never see networks sharing like this unless they completely 100% had to. Maybe a decade, maybe 12, 13, 14 years ago, we saw it for the first time. It's like, what? 2 NFC teams playing? And, okay, because they're helping each other out. Because remember, at the beginning of the season, when they're doing that secret sauce for all the schedules for the year, for all the scheduling for the season, Georgia Bulldogs are moving the ball. You got to have a dog of a game, which I hope y'all are enjoying a game. Tell me what you guys and girls think about this. You've never seen networks giving up a game regardless. They're like, no, we don't care. It's the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's going to be the worst game. I pose that if teams are really bad. Come on. Here. Oh, now, okay. Yeah. So I would pose that if you got two teams, even if they're bad teams, your network owns it. But the fact of the matter is they flexed the game to 4:05, the Bucks and Panthers. But again, like I'm talking about these Bama fans coming out here to the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. Kind of fluffed it a little bit that time. But you don't just stop supporting your team or going out and cheering. As a Bucks fan, and I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, even when the Bucks were 2-14, we always had 72,000 people in the old Big Sombrero. No, I mean, obviously at the end of the day, 1 o'clock games in Florida in September and October, it's hotter than Hades. So there were games where, no matter what it was, but whether it was the Bears, the Vikings, the Lions, oh my, whatever it was, NFC Central Norris Division game or what have you. We went out and supported them. And that's why this week I was so miffed when people were asking me and then trying to talk me out of why I wouldn't want to go to tomorrow's Panthers game. It's not just about representation, which we know our diehard Bucs Life fans, we know our diehard Leatherheads, we know our diehard Buccaneer fans are going to be there supporting. And this is one of those games, unlike the Eagles, unlike the other games this season where, the Bucs were supposed to be 2-15 in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Well, guess what? That's not true. Bucs are one game in back of New Orleans, one game in back of Atlanta. And we also have a game still against Atlanta. We still have a game against New Orleans, and we have 2 games, including tomorrow's game, versus the Carolina Panthers. Wow, Bama just had a big play. I think it might have been a turnover or a stop on downs. Division is still very much up for grabs. But I'll ask you guys and girls this, since we're not talking here. Did you feel that? The Bucs won the NFC South for the 2nd consecutive year last season, for the first time in team history, and now have a chance to go for a 3rd consecutive NFC South division title? Did y'all feel that we get that first place schedule, which means we play the Bills, the Niners, the Eagles, because that's how it works, right? You finish first in your division, you play the other division's first place teams. You finish 4th, you play the other division's 4th place teams. But also this year with the Colts and the Lions and even the Vikings, who were trying to climb back into it there before Dobbs had a bit of a stumble. The fact of the matter is the Buccaneers in 2023 have played a pretty damn hard schedule. Not just against your first place teams that are supposed to be winning these games, except for the Buffalo Bills, which, Bills Mafia, I'm not trying to make you guys mad on a Sunday, Saturday here, Championship Saturday down here at the world-famous First Sports Bar and Grill. But the Bills have been a little off this year. Sean Dermott may be a bit on a hot seat. I feel like they're starting to get out of their Josh Allen window. But at the end of the day, this Buccaneer schedule, you tie in the fact that 8-9 in 2022 in that first place, that first place finish in the NFC South, hard schedule. And now the other teams, the AFC opponents we're supposed to face, the other teams that didn't even finish. Wow. Okay, so that was a stop on down. So Bama takes it over on downs, and Bama. No, wait, Georgia did a good play. Hold on a minute. Let me see what happened here. Oh, it was like an 83-yard field goal to tie it up at 10-10. So, okay. Love it. The kicker's number is 91. I'll go ahead and work it back to the Miami Dolphins on this one, because if y'all aren't watching in-season Hard Knocks there on HBO Max, which, by the way, shout out HBO Max. I get kickback for that. Love the fact that, of course, we saw the story this year, or the story this week. Jalen Phillips, and of course the injury he had there in the MetLife Stadium, and of course my wife's watching for the first time watching Hard Knocks in a couple of years. But again, my guy at the dog bark, Brendan, he said you got to watch this week's Hard Knocks. It's a tearjerker, and I did. And my wife's like, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." But it was a very, very, very great show, because of course, as always, Lee Schreiber and the crew there at Hard Knocks set it up perfectly. But I love the fact that your defensive lineman, Chubb's wearing number 2, and of course Phillips wearing number 15, and then there was a point where there's a guy out there on the field, and they showed the offensive lineman celebrating a defensive play, and it was number 63, and my wife said, "Oh, so is that the defensive lineman?" I'm like, "Well, no, the offensive line generally wears between 60 and 79. The defensive line usually used to wear between 90 and 100. Warren Sapp 99, but nowadays with the numbers change and all, there's still specific areas. But of course, college, you got that kicker there for the Georgia Bulldogs who just made that long field goal. He wears number 91. So I kind of like it in today's day and age, because at first, and I'll ask you guys what you guys think about this. At first, when they were talking about, Shaq Barrett's going to be number 7 and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka number 9, and they're going to be changing this thing up. And I'm like, I didn't know how I felt about that. And maybe that was a bit of get off my lawn, old guy syndrome to Gran Torino. But the more I watch it, the more I realize maybe it's now because at the end of the day, really, we're starting to see the balance has gone to where more of your big defensive linemen and your outside linebackers are actually wearing those low numbers. So I'm okay with that. And I don't have a problem with it, but I kind of like it that you still have your offense, you still have your, what have you, quarterbacks, still going to wear their basic numbers. Number 2, I think it's the best number for a pro quarterback of all time. I don't know. Is that a Kyle Trask reference? Go ahead. Call me on that one. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I honestly, of course, you can hear the party going on. if I turn the camera this way, you'd see maybe thousands, at least several hundred people that are down here watching the SEC championship game. And you got a few people that are watching those 15 TVs or those 20 TVs out of the 100 that are watching App State versus Troy. But great atmosphere out here as the sun sets down here on a Saturday night down here. I'm going to move a little bit left, move a little bit right. Oh, middle celebration. I didn't like what I was questioning. I was going, why are you? And I can't tell y'all how many times I heard, Mike, I'm not going to say your last name, jerk. He's like, Buck's going to lose to a 1-10 team. Buck's going to lose to a 1-10 team. Bucks have an interim. The Panthers have an interim coach now, and Bryce Young, rookie quarterback. This game's at home. Bucks will represent. But I will tell you all one thing I thought about this game. The over-under. Hold on one second. Let me pull this one up. Just stick with me 1 second. I got to get my phone. Can't type in the code. Leroy Selman, Warren Sapp, Mike Ray. Oh, okay. That was another confirmation on my sound. Let me pull this up. Let's start with the Bucks Panthers tomorrow. Over under 36.5 points. Bucks Panthers 36.5. Bryce Young. Who do the Panthers have playing wide receiver? At Tampa Bay, still got this dog of a defense, even with the entire line. But the Bucks, all their linebackers are injured, and they're literally going to put defensive lineman and linebacker. Although in a 4-3, 3-4, I would pose a lot of your defensive linemen are linebackers, or is it that your linebackers are defensive linemen? 36.5 points. If you had to lay money down, if you had to lay, you had enough money that you could get beer all week. That's of course a segue to my beer. You got to lay on this Bucks-Panthers game tomorrow on the 36.5 point over-under. Do you bet the under? Do you bet the over? Do you tease it? What do you guys and girls think? I want to know what you think. 36.5 points. And I'll tell you why I ask you. And I hope you guys and girls still give me your answers. Please share the show. I appreciate it. Or if you're on YouTube, let me see those YouTube comments. I do see. Let me go back up there. God, Christopher Cole. Christopher found me on YouTube. Bro. It shouldn't matter who the quarterback is, undefeated, than you deserve to be in. He's talking about the Florida State Seminoles, but I didn't recognize the fact that, brother, it was a YouTube comment. Thank you, Christopher Cole. You know I love you, brother. If you're on YouTube, comment. Whoa, Ben Parrish popped in here. What's up, Ray? What's up, Ben? Just talking. Ben, 36.5 point over-under on the Bucks-Panthers game tomorrow. You got to place a bet. Let's make it small. Let's not put anything on it. Let's not say it's the beer money for the week, because I don't think anybody should be gambling with beer money for the week. I know I wouldn't. $10. You want to win the bet. 36.5 point over-under on your Bucks-Panthers game tomorrow. Are you taking the over or are you taking the under? And if so, why? I know it's hard to type it out, but you guys and girls are at home. Type it for me. And I'll tell you why, because I'm at the dog park this morning. Everything works back to the dog park, Brendan, my guy. I'm at the dog park this morning, and I got a guy there, great guy, and he knows a lot. Plays a lot of lines, plays a lot, does a lot of line betting, just like, and he was talking about, first of all, he talked about let me find out for sure what this is. I'll tell you guys and girls what this was. The first over-under we talked about was of course, the reason why the Bucks-Panthers game got bounced to 405, because the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles, the over-under is 48. And I'm like, wait, Jalen Hurts may have an injury. Brock Purdy is still in sophomore. You are talking about the two teams in NFC Championship rematch from 2022, in which the Niners are pretty much sure that if Brock Purdy doesn't get injured, they end up beating the Eagles. Of course, the Eagles went on to lose to the Kansas City Chiefs there in the Super Bowl. But that over-under is like 58 points. And I'm like, I don't see that. Oh, 40, I'm sorry. I don't see that. In fact, I would think that possibly, even with the tush push, or is it brotherly shove, even with that factored in, I saw that being a low over-under. But I asked him, of course, as I do. I said, well, what's the Bucks-Panthers over-under? And I said, before you tell me, I want to ask you respectfully, what is a low over-under for a National Football League game? And he said, well, a very low would be like 37, 38, but an average low is something north or south of 40 or 41, just a little bit south. And I went, fair enough. before you even tell me or before you check, I'm going to tell you that the Bucks-Panthers game, the way I feel it could happen, and it's not just because I don't know if Baker's going to find the offense, but I think that we scratch a game out, but it ends up being a defensive game. But I still think we win by at least 10 points, but I think it ends up being like a 27-10 or maybe a 20, because I don't think that Bryce Young, I don't think those Panthers are going to find enough success, even with Levante, even with Devin White, even with, Jamel Dean out? Even with the injuries the Bucks are facing, next man up mentality over at Ray J tomorrow, I don't see the Panthers having that much success in scoring games. I'm going to say it's a low game. And I said 37. I'm just throwing it out to 37. He comes back with it's 36.5. I'm like, that's fair enough. Do you think that the Bucks-Panthers game tomorrow, if you were betting it, do you think you go over on that game? And I'm just asking you because I think it's a great way to start conversation about football games in this day and age. And that is to look at the over-under, because the over-under, in fact, let's go up, start at the top here. Los Angeles Chargers versus New England Patriots, 39.5 points at New England. Brandon Staley, defensive-minded coach, Kellen Moore, the heir apparent, although I still don't know why is Kellen Moore the heir apparent. I'm still going back to Dallas when he played quarterback. I've still never seen enough from that guy. I see Dak Prescott in Dallas doing great this year, but I would pose it's probably mostly because of Quinn as a defensive coordinator, as it has to do with Mike McCarthy and Dak finally finding it with CeeDee Lamb. And, of course, we saw him the other night with Brandon Cooks in the running game. But, I mean, at New England, and they put the over-under at 39.5, I think that's fair enough because Bill Belichick, he likes to try to take the other team's best player away. And I think it's going to be tough sledding for the Los Angeles Chargers because they've been having defensive struggles. Of course, Herbert's having one of his worst years, or has been having one of his worst years of the season. But then this one, Miami at Washington, over-under 49.5. And I know what your first thoughts is. Miami should be able to score 49.5 on their own. But it's at Washington. And I can tell you right now, Miami's used to playing in the humidity down there in South Florida, but now you're playing in FedEx Field there in Washington. And even though Montez Sweat and Chase Young traded away, even though they've lost a lot of their pieces, and I think that the narrative has been that even though Ron Rivera is still there with the firing of Jack Del Rio, I think that the rumor, I think there's a lot of truth to the rumor that at this point it's Eric Bieniemy. It's probably going to be his team in 2024. And why shouldn't it be? As we've seen the Washington Commanders start to have a little bit of offensive success this season, I think Eric Bieniemy has 100%. I think he earned the right to be considered a head coach before he got hired as the offensive coordinator there in Washington. I think he's earned it, and I think that Washington, it would behoove them not to give him his job. But I think that that's a lot of points, 49.5 points there at Washington, because we've seen it, guys, girls, growing up, we've always saw it. Those games in Washington, chunky field, wet, damp, cold. I haven't checked the weather forecast, but if it's just based on my historical references in my old man brain, I would say that 49.5 points is a tall ask for that game. Oh, Ben says the over. Yeah, the Bucks-Panthers bet the over, 36.5 points. That's a very low over-under. And I don't think that's just Bucks fans hoping for all of a sudden for an offensive rejuvenation or renaissance with your Buccaneers. I think that's not a big ask. I think the over on that game should definitely be considered. Ben also says Baker's got to have a big game and get his team mojo back on track like before to buy the week. I'm going to tell you all right now, don't leave the show. I see the numbers. They're great. But my guy was also telling me today, he said, have you seen the Circle of Baker? And I'm like, what do you mean the Circle of Baker? He goes, no, it's a thing. It's actually, I don't know if it's a YouTube video or if it's just something on social somewhere, but he said, Baker Mayfield has a great game. The national media gives him all kinds of love. Baker has a terrible game. The national media crucifies him. Baker has a good game. He's back. Baker has a bad game. He's the worst. And the thing about it is, Bucs fans in 2023, Baker, I don't think he's lost any games. In fact, I think he's actually won. I'll give him at least 1.5 games that he's won on his decision, his late game decisions, and some of the reads he's made. I don't think he's lost any game on his own. I think that this offense's failure to start has lost the Buccaneers at least 4 of those 7 games in 2023. But we can talk about that too. But yeah, the Circle of Baker or the Cycle of Baker, go ahead and Google that because he said it's pretty funny, and he's a Dolphins fan, so he's got no skin in that game. I posted on my social media, on my Facebook page this week. I hope you all had a chance to see it. It talks about, of course, Baker Mayfield, drafted number 1 overall in 2018, Heisman Trophy winner out of Oklahoma, and how I never saw this. And I love Baker. I love Baker at Texas Tech before he even transfers as a walk-on. Transfers to Oklahoma under Lincoln Riley. And he did the whole thing where, of course, Brett Favre was drafted out of Southern Miss in the second round back in 92. But Baker, of course, by this time, Brett Favre had his illustrious Hall of Fame career. Baker reenacted for his, if you guys, girls got to watch this, he reenacted the entire picture. He's holding the same old school cell phone. He had all his friends and family literally reenact everybody that was in when Brett Favre got the call for the draft there back in 92, or I think it was 92. Reenacted it all. And of course, the clip I put on Facebook, on my Facebook page, he finishes with, because he's a dog, because Brett Favre is the guy. He's a guy. And I think that's one of the reasons why we kind of like Baker Mayfield, because he is a guy. Sometimes I just don't know if he's a guy for Dave Canales' offense. I just don't know if he's a guy. If you've got a team that's, and I hate to use the word conservative, but if you've got a defensive mind, I am so standing. If you've got a defensive-minded team that's got to play conservatively, field goal to field goal, you got McLaughlin as your kicker because you've got a guy that can lock it down and make your extra points or make your field goals. You got a team that should be able to win just based on defense, move the ball, field goals, score a touchdown. But the problem with a guy like Baker, who's the guy, is that he's the guy that's going to make plays. I said this when the Bucs signed him before the season. Baker's only weakness to me is his greatest strength is he's an off-script guy. His greatest plays are off-script. He runs out of the pocket. He's got speed. You can't cover him. And he's reading the defense running out of the pocket. And my thing is that Dave Canales, the quarterback coach in 2022 with Geno Smith there in the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith, we saw it with the performance the other night on Thursday Night Football. Of course, they lost to the Cowboys, but he's a tall pocket passer. And Dave Canales gets hired by the Bucs to come in and be the offensive coordinator under Coach Todd Bowles. And you'd like to see what that defense looks like with a tall pocket passer. And it's not a knock on Baker. It's almost as much because for as long as I've been hearing people tell me, oh, Kyle's never had any plays. It was going to be Blaine Gabbert. No. That was Tom Brady's call. And we can agree to disagree as much as y'all want. Tom Brady wanted his guy to back him up. And even though it was Ryan Griffin's the one that grabbed Tom after the boat parade there with Super Bowl 2020, it was Griffith. He was the guy that grabbed Tom Brady. That's the reason why Griffith was still holding a clipboard on this team in 2022. He earned the right to be one of Tom's guys. And you were going to, if nothing else, the respect you have for the greatest of all time, Mr. Tom Brady, you're going to let him pick. And Blaine Gabbert, because remember last year we still had Byron Leftwich as your offensive coordinator, and Byron Leftwich was still running, for lack of a better term, the no risk it, no biscuit Bruce Arians style offense, throw it down the field, soften the defense, and this and that. You weren't going to have, okay, Kyle, we're going to run with you because when we drafted you in the second round, we saw what you can do as you put Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney, head case, into the first round of the National Football League. We saw what you can do, and Bruce Arians was still the head coach at that point. We're going to develop you. We're going to groom you so that you can, again, take over this team. It was going to be Blaine Gabbert backing up Tom. And then when Tom decided to put the Walker to the side, hold on a minute. Alabama just scored again. Okay, so Georgia did not make it. How come you all aren't keeping me updated? I'm trying to keep you all. So now Alabama's up 17. Oh, Florida State Seminole fans, is this suddenly? Because you saw last season, we're like, oh, we'd love to see wouldn't a rematch instead of TCU? Wouldn't we have would have rather seen a Michigan-Ohio State rematch, Brendan? Now you got Bama up 17-7 over the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm gonna have to go see if that guy. He's got to literally has that. I mean, this dog looked like the Georgia Bulldog mascot. And again, it works me back to the whole thing. Why do you come and support your team when you're supposed to not win? Because you don't support your team just when you're supposed to win or lose. You support your team because you're ride or die. That's the reason why I go to the Bucs Panthers game tomorrow. That's the reason why I don't question if the Bucs are going to win the NFC South for the third consecutive time with a record of 6-11. It doesn't matter. This is my team. Any success. But the flip side to that, I've went over an hour, so I won't keep it too much longer because it's starting to get really nice out here. Got the kids' Christmas celebrations down here in St. Pete. The flip side to that is just because your team doesn't have the success you thought they should have in this day and age, as college footballs went to name, image, and likeness, and it's all about making that 4-team, next year 12-team playoff, whatever it is, got to win or nothing. And we all, at the end of the day, we all want to be champion. We all want to win them all. But the reason why I go to a Panthers game tomorrow is because at halftime, it's nighttime. Sunsets in Seminole. Sunsets, you're enjoying the game regardless. Look at that. A couple of Georgia fans. You should have saw their faces when they walked by. They're like, what the fridge? I'm like, it's still early. It's still the first half here. Don't go off on that. The reason why you support your team is because I remember going to a game where it was Tom Blanchard, or we get Tupa as a punter, or Neil O'Donoghue as the Bucs kicker. I remember when it was just the fact that anything late in the afternoon, of course, as Bucs fans, the late afternoon games when the lights would come on were rare, few and far between here in Tampa Bay over at the Big Sombrero. But man, when you're there and the lights are on and it's shining and everything is just happening, you're just like, oh, there's just nothing like it. It just seemed like it was. I remember collegiate sports wasn't quite like it is today, nowhere near like it is today, but there was nothing like it. And I'll ask you guys and girls this because I see y'all still watching. Who had the little plastic helmets? Because I had all 28 teams at the time. And you every week the matchups, the Bucs, whoever the Bucs are playing, you put the two teams, you put the helmets on there. And before that, I don't know why the heck they don't bring these back. I don't know why they don't exist anymore. The magnets that you'd have, the helmet magnets. Now, is it just the fact that when I was a kid, I was so fascinated by these things, or I think they'd still sail in 2023 with today's youth? The magnets with the helmets for every team. Is it because with branding and merchandising and copywriting, they just can't have it anymore? You can't have stuff like that? Because what a great thing. I had all 28 helmets of all the, and back then the helmets weren't even like they are today. I had all 28 helmets for all the teams. And every week I used to match up who's playing who. And it was the best thing. Oh, wait, Georgia just said something big, I think. No, it's still Bama. Hold on, I'll report to you guys, even though y'all are watching the game. Is there a flag? I can't even tell who's cheering because let's be honest, the Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs. Wait a minute. Ooh, the receiver's limping and the Bulldog or the Crimson Tide fans are cheering, so it must have been something. So why can't we have those? And I know for those of you guys and girls that are from my generation, which is, are we millennials? The greatest generation? Are we Generation Z? No, nowhere near that. You used to go to the store and they had to put the quarter in the machine. You turn it and you turn it, you turn it, you turn it, and you hear it would fall and you pull it out and you, oh, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. Turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. Oh, it's the Houston Oilers. Okay. You turn it, turn it, turn it, turn it. And you heard it fall when you opened it, and it was that Buccaneers helmet, even though you already had 17 of them at home. It was the greatest thing in the world. You're like, Buccaneers helmet. And then you can always find another Bucs fan who turned it, and ended up with a Detroit Lions helmet, or, sorry, Brendan, or, whatever, Minnesota Vikings. And you could trade them for another team that maybe you didn't have. But why can't you have those helmets anymore? Why can't you have those magnets? The magnets were just the perfect helmet, just enough weight that you could kind of toss them at a magnetized board, but they would stick. But they were like, you could do your matchups. And I know back then we didn't have computers. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have 17 and a half pregame shows that run for 4 hours. No offense to you dogs and guys and girls that are out there locking it down. Oh, I'm going to say all right now. This $3 Brewing, it's like an orange IPA. Never had it. And at first I was like, I grew up drinking orange juice and eating oranges off the trees, but wasn't feeling it. Now I am, but yeah, now I'm feeling a little more. But why can't we have those helmets anymore? Why can't we do stuff like that? I mean, is merchandising and, again, copywriting and stuff like that in today's day and age made it so that you can't just have stuff like that? Because I think today's generation would actually do well to have stuff like that. Let me go ahead and get back here. And I do have to pause for the calls for 1 second, so I'm going to take it back to my showrunner, and I'll see you guys and girls on the other side. Again, I'll pose this question before I leave. Florida State. I didn't get a final score to Lightning Dallas North Stars to Minnesota, but I didn't get a score from Dallas Stars game. Lightning, I think they were up at the end of the first period. The Bucs Panthers game tomorrow. Is it because both teams are just bad enough that it could be a good game, or is it the fact of the matter is that these teams could still put on a good performance? Hey. There you go. I've been waiting. I'm looking.
You've been waiting?
Yeah, put them on. You can hear me. So now, first of all, who you got on there?
This is my best friend, Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
She from Georgia.
Go ahead and show Ashley. Put the cameras right there. Just turn around. That's Ashley. And what's your name?
My name's Jay.
Jake?
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
All right.
So what are you doing down here in St. Pete on a beautiful Saturday night?
I'm here to watch the game. I'm from Sarasota.
Okay.
So I
You're
come over here
watching
a
the
lot.
Bama.
And
Who
Georgia
are we pulling
game.
for?
Alabama.
Pretty good game so far, huh?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were talking about this. Florida State's number 4. Bama's got 1 loss. Georgia's number 1. If Bama did pull out a win here, I'm not going to do the whole do they knock Florida State out, but if Bama beats Georgia, how does that work when you're seeding those 4 teams for the national champion for the playoffs?
Florida State don't have their quarterback anymore.
They're down to the 3rd string. Do you hear this? The
So-
second stringer's got a concussion
I don't even think they're going to win tonight.
against Louisville. Ooh.
When you get down to the last 4 or 6 teams, they don't have a good quarterback. I don't have faith in them.
And we always hear today, I mean, in this, I think we're all buying this, and I don't think we're buying nothing they ain't selling that's not right, is quarterback's such an important position.
Very important.
And Mike Norvell's done a great job with that Florida State Seminoles program. You're obviously, you're a Florida guy, Sarasota, so you know the Noles. Are you a Noles, Gator,
I'm a
Hurricane?
nose.
Okay, so you know.
Right.
That's from the heart.
I love
Yes.
Florida State, but playing these good teams without your starting quarterback, I ain't putting no money on them.
Okay, so I'll pose this with you. Even with Texas's performance against Oklahoma State, I won't keep you, and I won't keep y'all. Ashley, I'm
you're good.
and Ashley, it's let me tell Ashley, it's can you hear me?
Ashley, can you hear him? Yeah.
Tampa Bay Ray 7683 on YouTube. You can see the show here. 76 Tampa Bay Ray 7683. That's my YouTube channel, so you can check it out. You can see yourself, but you can see us talking about this. I'll pose this question, and I won't keep you. I can keep you all night, but you can come back. If Georgia loses to Alabama, they're both 1-loss teams.
Right.
Florida State were to lose to Louisville, they're also a 1-loss team. Does
Right.
that possibly mean that the bowl committee actually thinks about seeding Bama and Georgia in the top 4 and pushing down a quarterbackless team, if you will, in the Seminoles if they lose to Louisville tonight?
Because it's not going to, I mean, at the end of the day, everything about money for these big bowl games.
Follow the money. We said that earlier. You're so
And
right.
Without your starting quarterback, who's going to really watch unless you're a real Florida State fan?
Which we have a lot of them, and you
Right.
yourself are a Florida State fan. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we get that. And I think that the narrative this week is, Florida State and, what are they going to do? They got the backup. Now the backup's got a concussion. I know you got to finish your conversation with your friend there,
you
Ashley,
good.
but we'll come back over here anytime. And this, Michael, I'll be on for at least another 20 minutes. I'd love to talk to you a little more.
All right, brother.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Oh, heck no.
Oh, shoot.
Are you okay? Just don't knock my beer over. No. Tell Ashley I said hi. Hey, Tampa Bay Ray 7683 YouTube. All right. Take care. I mean, that's a testimony right there from a Florida State fan. Let me see if I got any more comments, please, y'all. I got one new comment. Christopher Cole says 8-1. Are you kidding me? The Dallas Stars beat the Lightning 8-1? Okay. I do not have an answer for that, Christopher, or anyone out there watching who's a Lightning fan. I mean, the thing about it is we see with the Buccaneers, 2020 champions, 2021, they win the division for the first time. We get blown, we get beat out by the Rams there in the divisional playoff game.
What's up, baby?
Open mic. Come in. Oh, I got a Texas Longhorns fan. Okay.
We got a Longhorns fan.
We're talking about this. So you guys beat Oklahoma State pretty handily today.
Yes, we did.
So who are you rooting for in the Bama Georgia game?
So I'm rooting for those Bulldogs, those Georgia Bulldogs. Let's go, dogs.
Okay, and then so who are you rooting for in the Louisville Florida State game tonight?
Of course, Florida State, baby.
Florida State, but don't you? Oh, I don't. Do you think though the Longhorns' performance today that if something's going to happen, is there a way the Longhorns could jump into that 4-game playoff at all, or is it?
So
just-
I hope so. There's got to be chaos that ensues, but hey, the Longhorns beat Bama, and
Yes.
if Bama loses to Georgia, then you got yourself a horns up in the 4 right there. Right?
Hands up! I love it. So yeah, you enjoyed that. You've been down here all day, enjoying the games down here at Fergs, or
Hey, I just got here. Was at the beach all day, but
That's that little camera right there. I love it because
Oh,
no one
yeah.
ever sees it. But yeah,
I
you'll
was at the
see it.
beach all day and was actually at the Longhorns game versus K-State. Fuck K-State. Let's go Longhorns.
I love it, bro. What's your name, by the way?
I'm Tanner.
Tanner Ray. Nice to meet
Nice
you,
to
bro.
meet you, Ray.
Thanks for
Yeah,
stopping
yeah,
by,
yeah.
man. Hey, come by anytime. Well, you want to talk a little more?
No, I appreciate it. I got to get
Oh,
out of here.
Tanner, go do your thing, man. You're at the beach today. It was a beautiful day at the beach. Hey, brother, take care, Tanner. All right, horns up. I love it. Listen, that's, and I say this every time. The reason why I'm down here is when you got people coming on and doing, it's the enthusiasm, it's the fun, and probably it's the young person in me, but we're having a great time, and that's what this is all about. But yeah, Christopher Cole, Tanner's like 8 to 1 stars. He's wondering what that means. Lightning got their backsides waxed, and they've looked a little bit off this year, and I was finishing with the Buccaneers 2020. They win the division in 2021. They win it last season 8-9. They win the division for the second consecutive season. But truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, the only thing about being at the top is that you're the one everyone's pushing for. And of course, we saw it last season with the Lightning and teams coming after them. But man, 8 to 1. That's just, I'm not trying to breeze wild. I'm not trying to say what John Cooper and the Lightning are doing, but that's a Saturday afternoon game. I mean, did the team just get caught off guard, or what happened there? I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and go through I'm gonna finish this. Usually, I swear, the more I drink of this, the better I get at this. I'm trying to. Oh, I want to go back to the over-unders. So we already said. Ben, I love the fact that you said the over-under. You bet the over in that game. There's another one in here that I really thought was crazy. Detroit at New Orleans, the over-under 47. I don't see New Orleans scoring that much offense against the Detroit Lions defense, but I think that the Detroit Lions could score some points. Denver at Houston, 47.5. Bet the under on that game. I mean, I get it. CJ Stroud, the Stroud boys. I get Stroud boys. Shout out to Pardon My Take and PFT. And Big Cat. I get that, and the Denver Broncos, and suddenly Russell Wilson's finding it. That's a defensive. DeMarco Ryans, I mean, even with what Sean Payton's doing with those Texans, I bet the under in that game. What do y'all think? And that's bet it for these games. 42.5 for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, that's about all I want to talk about that. But yeah, I take offense at very little, and I didn't take enough offense to get into like any kind of a major argument with anybody or whatever. But when I got people telling me, when they ask me, why are you considering going to the Bucs-Panthers game? Why would that be anything you'd want to go to? Of course, we're going to win. Of course, I want us to win. Of course, I want us to get that game in hand against the Panthers, who we play again, of course, against the Saints and the Falcons. But at the end of the day, it's halftime, isn't it? It's halftime of the game. So that's what I actually was shooting for. I figure I get some people coming on. Truth of the matter is, it's not just about, all those teams, because don't forget back in 76 and 77 and 78, we only had 2, then 4, and then we went to jump to 8. And then, of course, by 1992, we had 22 tickets the family did for season tickets for there in the Big Sombrero. But early on, 76, 77, 78, when teams 0-26, not many people, the reason why I got to go to the games before our family had a plethora, Leo word, of season tickets is because they were like, it's not going to be on TV because of the 75-mile blackout rule, but yeah, we'll let somebody else go, and they were being kind. Of course, I would pose that it made true blue lifelong Buccaneer fans out of myself and my cousin Teddy, and everyone else got to go. But we didn't go because went because we wanted our team to win, but then at the end of the day, the team lost. You felt kind of cruddy about it, but it wasn't always about we're going to win a Super Bowl and it's Super Bowl or bust. We want to win a Super Bowl. Of course, we do want to win a Super Bowl. We want to get that 3rd championship in Buccaneer team history, and we want to see, of course, although at this point, I'll be honest with you, and I should have brought this up. I should have led with this before I even got into this. Is Coach Bowles really on a hot seat? Because I'll be honest with you, I said all along, and I still think I stand by this, although honestly, I've pulled back from this a little bit. I said the only way Coach Todd Bowles is not your head coach in 2024 is if he loses this locker room. And I would pose that the Buccaneers continue to play like they have played in the last 7 games, then losing the locker room is very much a possibility. Still hasn't lost that locker room. I still see players going through a wall for him. And early on, I was using Devin White as an example. Look at Devin White. Every time you see Coach Bowles on the sideline, Devin White, toward the end of the game especially, Devin White standing right there with Coach Bowles. And Devin White going into the 2023 season was the guy that he was already working on a second contract before they drafted him in the first round at LSU, and he was going to be a problem child. And so was Mike Evans going to be a problem child as he get 150 yards now, somewhere thereabouts. I'm paraphrasing, getting short of getting that 10th 1,000-yard season, locking up his Hall of Fame creds. But I posed it. Coach Todd Bowles, the only way he loses his job is if he loses his locker room. But now I'm to the point, and I'm not saying it's this week, I still love what Coach Bowles means. I still love the fact that we have a team that doesn't have players getting arrested. I love the fact that we don't have a running back, Lattimore, but we don't have a Mike Thomas, or we don't have a running back or what have you. I love the fact that we still don't have Aqib Talib punching a cabbie in the back of the neck. I love the fact that we have a team of respectable young men. And maybe some of that love comes from I'm used to having a coach, Tony Dungy. I'm used to having coaches that gave us stability and not only wanted to have a great team made up of great players, which I think we still do, but wanted to have a team made up of good people. And I know in this day and age, at the college level, with the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, just going for a team made up of good people, it's an ask. I kind of like that. And it's not just because I'm a parent of my kids and my son and we love football. And I don't need to see a team of 53 people who are questionable type of people, but they're winning. And that's one of the reasons why, I mean, even though I can go back and talk about Jalen Ramsey or Tyreek Hill or go back and talk about, I don't question them, but I question the fact that the Miami Dolphins are also made up of a team of great people. And I don't know if it's the Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield narrative, because I realize that if Baker goes through that Baker cycle, win one game or win a game, the national media loves him, bestows all the love in the world on him. Loses a game, they roast him, and it's called the Baker cycle or the Baker wheel. I know that I think Kyle Trask got game, but I'm not ready to say Baker should sit to give Kyle Trask that chance. I need the people that are in the room. I need the coaches that know. I need the Dave Canales and the Todd Bowles and the Jason Light. I need the people that know to make that call. So I still respect the fact that Baker Mayfield is still your starting quarterback. I'm at the point now, and maybe y'all, before I jump out of here, because I'm starting to get tired and I want to go enjoy the rest of this SEC championship game. I'm to the point now, and I said this today on my coffee clutch, if you will, there at the dog park, that if the Bucs, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they're down terribly at halftime tomorrow, then Kyle comes in. If the offense is not holding the ball, if by halftime, and I'm going to take y'all back to last season, the reason why the Bucs lost those games. And we still have to face games to post. But if by halftime our defense is like hands on the hips, taking IVs, everyone's thinking, what's this guy doing? Oh, he's doing a yoga program. But if by halftime our defense is tired because our offense can't sustain a drive, if we can't control the ball in our house, which has been the MO for this Buccaneers team in 2022 and 2023, if you can't consistently move the ball and give one of the best defenses in the NFC a chance to load up. If you're giving C.J. Stroud and you're giving P.J. Walker last year, if you're giving Bryce Young a chance tomorrow, if you're giving the offensive coordinators a chance to just throw all the spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks because your offense can't keep the ball away from them at home, then I need to see a change. I don't think Todd Bowles has to be fired tomorrow. But I think if by halftime, and I don't see it happening, but I'm just saying in the upside down, in the Stranger Things universe, if the Buccaneers were having struggles against the Panthers tomorrow at Raymond James Stadium at halftime, and this team, if Coach, let's be honest, guys and girls, at the end of the day, let me make sure I got no more comments because I'm about to go off here. Oh, brother. Ben says, listening from Hanford, California, repping Bucks on my way back. Unfortunately, definitely making my commute better. Ben, God, I love you. I can't, so you know. Thank you, Ben. 100%. I appreciate that so much. Share the show. Tampa Bay Rays 7683. Let's do a vote right now. I see the views on the show right now. There's 99 of you people watching right now. Right up to now, even with the problems the Bucs have had in 2023, if we saw Coach Todd Bowles ripping someone's ass on the sidelines, if we saw something other than just this stoic, and we saw it this season. We saw it after the victories. We saw it with we saw the excitement. And I'm like, Easy and Devin and the team, we saw that. And we know going into this season, people are like, oh, if you think Coach Todd Bowles is reserved, you should see him at One Buck Place, the Admin Health Training Facility. You should see how he's running players. cusses and F-bombs and it's now. I don't know about F-bombs, but he's a passionate player. Well, of course he is. Temple, Washington, the guy, he's a dog. Great coach. With the struggles the Bucs have had in 2023, and the first thing you do is you look over the sideline, he's not ripping someone's ass. And I'm like, okay, you're not that guy. Tony Dungy wasn't that guy. But guess what? Guess who Tony Dungy had? Tony Dungy had Uncle Monty Kiffin. Tony Dungy had Herm Edwards. Tony Dungy for a minute had Mike Tomlin. Tony Dungy had assistant coaches and coaches that would rip that ass, that would show that passion. And even if it wasn't at the end of the day, even if the butt ripping and the passion isn't making your players play better, as fans going through the struggle of supporting a team that's having these issues, at least it made us feel like we're still trying. We looked at a sideline of these 2023 Buccaneers, and some would pose your 2022 Buccaneers, and you're like, where's that passion? Who's the coach? Harold Godwin? Who's the coach? Was it Kevin Carter before he left, or is it this year? Is it Dave Canales, who, by the way, always looks good? Girl dad. Shout out, Dave. Kid dad. But, I mean, who's the passionate coach on this team? And I think that's been the biggest disconnect with Todd Bowles as your Buccaneers offensive coach, as your Buccaneers head coach, is the passion. We know he's got passion, but we can't just see the passion after a victory when we're in the locker room giving away game balls. That's all fine and dandy, but anyone can do that. I need to see the passion from a coach when the players aren't doing what they need to do. When the offense, I want to see, okay, I'll tell you what. At halftime tomorrow, again, upside down, stranger things, not going to happen, but if it did, if the Buccaneers offense is struggling and our defense is tired because our offense, even at Raymond James, even on an 87-degree day, which I guess Carolina's not that much further north than Florida, but we should have that home field advantage. If their offense is struggling, I need to see Todd Bowles rip some of that Dave Canales backside. I need to see Todd Bowles walking around making people held accountable. Am I wrong for that? Did I need to see that? Because I'm not saying I need to see people yelling. I'm not saying I need to see, mayhem or people being what. I just think that's been one of the problems. Oh, Ben Parrish says, I believe in my Bucs and always take my team regardless. Ben, 100% too. And I guess writing for the Bucs, covering the Bucs and talking about them with y'all, I'm just a conduit. So please use me. And sometimes I'm wondering, okay, where do those rose-colored glasses stop? And rose-colored works for the Bucs because, of course, the team is rose-colored. Is it just fandom? Then I'm like, coming into 2023, I was like, there's no freaking way these Buccaneers are in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. And even right now, they'd have to start tanking immediately, a la 2015 style, taking everybody out and playing all your backups, which, by the way, someone posted with the injuries for tomorrow's game is kind of happening on its own. I never saw them in a Caleb Williams sweepstakes. I didn't buy the national media narrative that the Bucs were 2-15. I was like, no, this defense alone and the amount of players on this 2023 team that won that ring in 2020, that just tells me. And of course, again, good people with great coaching and a good organization. I thought that was BS. But I'm tired of, I haven't saved Coach Bowles' job, but I'm tired of sticking up for Coach Bowles if I can't see that passion myself, because at the end of the day, I think that makes the transition a little easier. That makes the hard pill a little easier to swallow, is that I know that Coach Bowles, as the head coach, is ripping some of that backside because he does not like what he's seeing. And maybe that's always going to be his MO. It was his MO in New York with the Jets. It was his MO. It may be his MO as defensive coordinator, but of course, when Coach Bowles was defensive coordinator, he had Bruce Arians as the head coach, both in Arizona and here in Tampa Bay. And that was anything but Bruce Arians' MO. And I'm not saying I need to see Bruce Arians back, although I think at this point, the Bucs fans, I think if Jason Light announced tomorrow morning and said, look, Todd's stepping back and Bruce is taking over again. I mean, I know he's not even in the corner office over the One Buck place anymore, but I don't think any of us have a problem with that, because that's probably been one of the disconnects with this team. And that's one of the reasons why I think people questioned in 2023 that Coach Bowles is on the hot seat. I didn't see it, but it's starting to appear that way, that he might be. We got to see the improvement in this team and the effort tomorrow versus the Carolina Panthers. Christopher Cole says Larry Foote. Yeah, Larry Foote. And even this year, we brought in what? They're doing a raffle drawing, and it's an Alabama raffle drawing. So it's like, I wonder what the concession prize is. But see what I did there? Yeah, 100%. Larry Foote could be the guy. I mean, and I'm saying the coaches are coaching. I'm not saying they're not coaching, but let's remember going back on it, because somebody made a great comparison. Well, this sounds like Tony Dungy. And Tony Dungy would go over and Tony Dungy would walk over and he would question Coach Monty Kiffin. He would question Herm Edwards. He would question, oh God, I'm going to get it. Our quarterbacks coach with Bruce Arians, the OC. Help me out here, guys. Come on now. He just left. He was also with Tony Dungy in Indianapolis with Peyton Manning. Clyde Christensen. Okay. Woo! Hold on a minute. That's a segue to another sip. Because that's how I do. Ben Parrish says Bowles has got to get a fire under his belly, or fire, and act like his job's on the line. He's too nice to push over. Ben, I 100% agree. And I'm not saying that if the Bucs were to lose the next 6 games and they get the number 1 overall and or they get top 5 and they go after one of these, again, Oscar from the Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection was pointing out that they go after one of these. There's a plethora. That's the second time I've used that Leo word of quarterbacks, it seems, coming out this season. So and of course this season 2023 we've seen 10 or 11 rookie quarterbacks start or first time quarterbacks start, and you're like, okay, so this is the new national narrative. Well, I would pose the fact that I'm watching today and the Texas quarterback who's balling out, and they're like, well, he was at Ohio State for a year, then he transferred in the portal, which, by the way, Byron Brown, don't even think about it. The portal doesn't exist for you. You're still here in Tampa. You're still here in the Bay Area. You're staying here. The boosters at USF are going to figure out a way to take care of you because we need you, dog. Coach Gullish needs you. You set the record. You beat Quentin Flowers. You gave Sean Austin. Sean Atkins. You're doing things here that have never been done before, so don't even think about it. And, of course, I'm so excited to find out where the Bulls will be playing in their bowl game in 2023. But, yeah, we need to see Coach Bowles get that fire. And, like I said, even if he loses the rest of these games, I'm not saying the fire saves his job, but at least it'll make us – don't go out like a sucker, Coach Bowles. Don't go out with the same – we saw it in New York when that stuff was going downhill because some bad decisions being made on its general manager level. And, of course, you wanted to take Baker Mayfield, but he wasn't there, so you took Sam Darnold, number 2. Is Sam Darnold even playing in the league anymore? But, of course, and I think I posed that question this year, that one of the reasons why Baker deserved to start. Ira Kaufman, Baker deserved to start. I never said Baker didn't deserve to start. But, again, I said Baker, we knew his strength was the off script. And the reason why Dave Canales, as the QB coach, had success in Seattle with Geno Smith is because Geno Smith is a stand-up. Geno Smith has also been in the league for 72 years, but he's a stand-up pocket passer, which is exactly what Kyle Trask happens to be. And with Baker, if Baker stays in the pocket, unless he makes that first read and he ends up hitting Mike or Godwin because he can throw the ball because he's got a great arm, if Baker Mayfield stays in the pocket, it's going to be a check down to either Chris Godwin or Rachaad White, and we've seen it all year. They get blowed up either 2 yards in front of the line of scrimmage or 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And I would pose if you got a true 6'5", of course that happens to be the height of Kyle Trask, standing in the pocket, reading the defense. Defense can't put 9 or 10 in the box to cheat against. Just remember, the defensive coordinator. Let me give you guys and girls. Oh, wait. Ben says perfect example, Devin White. Right, and you're thinking because Devin's standing, and Ben, let me make sure I got you right here. You're saying because Devin White's on the sideline, he's cozying up the coach, and I think we've all pretty much seen just in what Levante's done. And I've posed this question, and I'll pose it here. If the Buccaneers, if they're going into 2024, and Bucs fans, if you're told the Bucs are only going to pay one of those 2 linebackers to be here in 2025, forget the fact that it's a long-term contract or what have you. One of these linebackers is going to be here, and they're going to make $20 million. I think that we've actually pretty much seen that it would be Levante David who'd get that $20 million for 2024 to be here for his 14th consecutive season. And it's not, or is it 13th? It's not, and again, not long-term, because obviously you're talking long-term if Devin ends up being a guy because you go back against the Saints and, of course, the run he had in 2020 and you start seeing that toward the end of the season, you're like, no, he's your guy. He's your quarterback because, Levante can only play till he's about 65 and you can't have him. But, I mean, if it was one season, $20 million, the Bucs are going to pay one guy. Levante's been the guy. But then when Devin's been having the lack of success in the coverage skills or coverage, or he's not, playing as strong as he has to, Coach Bowles is still calling him out. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but I've been for an hour and a half. I forget where I was going with that. Again, somehow for me, it always works back to like a Kyle Trask guy. I think this kid's got game. this week what did it for me, and the reason why I felt like I kind of was walking both lines, and when you cover a team, when you're writing or when you're reporting or when you're trying to cover a team, you try to walk the middle, right? It's like when you're in the press box over at Tampa Stadium or Raymond James Stadium, but it's Tampa Stadium because it's a stadium in Tampa. You're not allowed to root. Whether you're with the Temple Owls, the USF Bulls, you're with the whatever, cover with ReliaQuest Bowl, you don't root. You're in the press box. You're an impartial person reporting. Because, of course, as a reporter, you have to be impartial so that you can report as good as you can. I would pose that for this right here and for us, I'm really not impartial. I can write impartially. I can see what I see, and I can write. But for me, it's always going to come back to I'm a fan. I've been a Bucs fan my entire life. You're not allowed to root for the team. Where was I going with this? Yeah, I lost that. It's okay. You guys and girls are used to that. I'm taking LVD, Ben Parrish, 100%. Levante for that another season. It's funny because we come limping into this season. The Bucs finally get the throwbacks. Levante's here, the last player to wear the throwbacks, and I love what Levante David said 3 years ago. Because remember, he was the last player on his team to have worn the throwbacks back in 2012, and Levante's like, throwbacks were a thing, and he's like, he gave away all of his uniform back in 2012. He gave it all away as a rookie. He's like, I'm gonna be there again. I'm gonna do it again. Of course, the team didn't wear throwbacks again for another 12 years or 11 years, and Levante got to wear this year. Let me ask you, Ben, since you're real timing with me, and I see y'all watching. Who was it more important for you to see wearing the throwbacks? And this is going to be a tough question, Bucs fans, and I'm going to end up snipping this out and posting it. Wait a minute. Was it more important to see Levante wear those throwbacks again to make that circle of life, or did we have to see Tom Brady wear those throwbacks? Because I'll tell you one of the things before I get off here, one of the things that really burnt my backside in 2023 was people that said they should retire number 12. And the Buccaneer team store, again, follow the money. It's all about the Benjamins, Christopher Cole. But when they were talking about open mic, guys, we'll talk about whatever you all want. Okay. How's it look? The shot's nice, right? A little dark.
What?
The shot's nice.
Great shot.
Love it.
How many people on there?
Well, right now I'm on 4 platforms, but on this one it's 4, but that's just up and down. But no, I usually do about. Just put this on. Come here.
No, I'm good.
Georgia Tech, come on. All right. Hey, guys, have a great evening. You can always tell how drunk somebody is because you invite them. And if they say no, you're like, oh, you haven't had enough to drink yet. Go get another shot. Come back and talk to me. Retire number 12. And, again, uphill school both ways, 20 miles in the snow. To me, I think number 12, Tom Brady, especially in the pewter uniforms, Tom Brady owns number 12. And I'm not trying to go back and say Josh McNown, number 12, or K. McNown was at 12, or, Trent Double. But you talk about people that made that broad statement to retire number 12 because Tom Brady won number 12. First of all, it was New England's job to retire number 12 because he's their dog. He was their dog for 19 years, and he deserves to have number 12 retired in New England. I think Doug Williams and the history there. I think of a Trent Dilfer and the history there, although, the golden mullet. I thought of a lot of other things before I think about, and if you were to ask me at the end of the day, regardless of win, lose, or draw, what it meant more to me that only one of those two players, well, obviously, if Tom Brady wore the throwbacks, it meant he played in 2023, which I would pose again, even though our offensive line is in better shape than it was in 2022, if he was still going to be doing this whole getting rid of the ball and throwing it down, I'm done with that, which Tom seems to be living his best life. I would pose also, is Tom Brady pushing for semi-ownership of those Raiders? Is that his way of saying, because, how can we expect him to step into the number 1 booth at Fox and make $37.5 million a year as a co-owner of the Raiders? And I also pose that as Tom's talking about as the kids get older and wanting to be there for him, how is traveling on Wednesday to fly into one of the 32 NFL cities to spend 3 days interviewing players and doing background and getting all the color for the Saturday, because that's what Tom would be, the color guy. Remember, he's not the play-by-play guy. How is that going to be any different and give you more time to spend with the family than playing football did in the first place? We've even seen now that Greg Olson is like, oh, I would completely do this or completely consider coaching. I still think Tom Brady, because of the way he approaches everything he does, can be a great color analyst, a great voice in the box for NFL football. Football? I don't know why. But I posed that I got to see how that experiment works out. I still can't believe that Greg Olson, who's worked the booths for Fox for the Super Bowl, who's done a fantastic job on the number one team. We saw him this year. They bumped the number one team down. They're purposely moving Greg Olson down. They're purposely taking away. Because the Bucks Panthers would have been the number one game on Fox game of the week. I'm kidding, but we've seen it. They started to move Greg Olson back because they're making room for Tom at the top. But I would pose at the same time, if I had to pick one of the two players for me as a Bucks fan, as a lifelong Bucks fan since 1976, if you said to me, which is more important to you, and it's not just because Tom would have played quarterback again in 2023 for your Buccaneers, it was seeing Levante getting to wear those throwbacks again, being the last Buccaneer player to have actually worn those throwbacks before, and that meant more to me. And I can see, by the way, y'all jumping in here with the comments. Oh, Ben Parrish says, drink a cold. Oh, Ben says, drizzle a cold one for me. I will, brother. Actually, at this point, it's going to be a cold one of these till I get off the air. But then I'm going to get a cold one in a minute. So don't tell me I'm wrong to go see the Buccaneers play the 1-10 Panthers. Don't tell me about how the Buccaneers are going to lose to a 1-10 Panthers team. Although, again, with the success the Bucs have had against rookie quarterbacks and interim head coaches over the last few years, one would pose that they're almost a snake bit as the 0-26 team back in '77 that wins their first game against Hank Stram and gets him fired there in New Orleans. I would pose that there's been, the Lightning losing 8-1 to the Dallas Stars today. I mean, there are some things that you can look at and go, oh, excuse me. But don't ever, and especially and Mike, again, I'm not going to name you by name because I love you, brother. You ain't been to a Bucs game in years. You go to the Bulls games, you're a supporter, going back, 3 generations Bulls supporter. I get that. Don't question why I do or don't want to go to a Bucs game. I don't care if the Bucs are playing against Boise State and could still lose. I don't care if the Buccaneers don't have any of the dogs of Vita Vea and Kalijah Kancey, the defensive rookie of the month, and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and Shaq Barrett, and or Antoine Winfield, and on the offensive side, Cade Otton and Tristan Wirfs and whatever. Nah, I'm gonna ask him. Oh, he's coming back. Watch, he's coming in like a fly. Oh, he's an Alabama fan. Oh, come on, come back and talk some Alabama football. Don't question why I want to go see the Bucs play. You don't even know my fandom. You don't even know where my love for the Buccaneers comes from. And I'll tell you one thing right now. My love for the Buccaneers doesn't come from we should win this game. We're going to win the Lombardi, which would be great and still is possible with these Bucs. I still say this Buccaneers team has enough talent that if this Dave Canales offense starts to find itself and gives the defense a chance to get off the field, gives the defense a chance to have success against these opposing offenses, gives the opposing offenses less of a chance to see what works against these Buccaneers. I still say this Buccaneers team doesn't just eke out at 8-9 NFC South, but even if they do eke out at 8-9 NFC South, I don't think this is. You saw this team give the 49ers a game. You saw this team give the Bills a game. You saw this team give the Lions a game. And, of course, the Eagles and the Lions, 26, 25-6. I mean, these games, we can fight about it. But I can go back and tell you, and this is where these rose-colored glasses come back, I can go back and show you the points where if our offense, C.J. Stroud, was down 10-7 at halftime, he had not had 4 of his 5 touchdowns. I mean, the teams that we've taken into halftime with a lead, and I know today's NFL, get to within one quarter, get one score, get to the fourth quarter and win. But this Buccaneers team has been in a place to win every one of these games they've lost, except for 1, maybe 2. But the fact that the opposing team's offense has had a chance to have success and our Buccaneers defense was tired from being on that field so much, this team, if they find their offensive success, they find some offensive rhythm, they find some offensive consistency, this Buccaneers team can be New York Giants, wild card team. They knocked the New England Patriots off their perfect season and win the Super Bowl back in, was it 2014? This Buccaneers team could be that team. Get healthy, get Levante, get Devin playing right, keep his head right, get this offense scoring. We got dogs on this offense. We just need consistency. Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I mean, come on. Going Devin Tompkins, just going through the fact that the players we have on him, Rashad White. Just the dogs we have on this Buccaneers offense. Get the offense right. Let the defense feed a little bit. And we have a team that can still give the entire NFL a run for their money in 2023. I think, and I'll tell you what, I'll close with this because I've been on way too long. I hold my shoulders up too long. Make sure I'm ready for this. Strangers in the night, exchanging glances, wandering through the night. What were the my numbers go up? That's the lady was standing right here watching. One of the biggest disappointments for me in 2023 has been the fact that even though this team's not 2-15 in the Caleb Williams sweepstake, at least unless Caleb Williams falls out of the top 3, which there's been a performance or two where I think that, you could have a team going, oh, Bryce was the guy, but look what CJ Stroud did. And, so who knows what goes on with the 2024 NFL draft, but probably the most disappointing thing for me as a Bucs fan and a fan of football in 2023 is the fact that this Buccaneers team, if nothing else, they seem to be playing right into the narrative the national media wanted to throw on them. The national media wanted to stick on them back in March. And that was that this team sucks. This team barely won the South in 2022. The Falcons are, this we know not to be true anymore. The Falcons are so much better, and Ritter might be the guy. And, of course, Dennis Allen. And now they got, God, I didn't want to know his name, but the quarterback. Help me out here, guys and girls. And of course, the Carolina Panthers. They got Bryce Young #1 overall, and Frank Reich, which, by the way, Frank Reich's not, and it was Carr, quarterback there in New Orleans. This NFC South, they're going to be better. The Buccaneers will end up being the worst team in the South, go 2-15, beating Caleb Williams sweepstakes. Although they've already surpassed that in 2023. One of the most disappointing things for me in 2023 is that at some points it almost seems like that these dogs on this Buccaneers team are starting to buy into that national narrative. Well, we're supposed to suck anyway, so let's suck. There's been no tanking. There's been no effort to purposely lose or, end up giving up. This team has basically said to the national media, okay, you're right. We're supposed to stink. We're going to lose these games. We're not going to beat these games. And again, remember, I said we had a hard schedule with the Colts and teams that are coming up, and the fact that we're playing a first-place schedule. It's been tough. But probably the biggest disappointment for me is that we're not undefeated at this point. No, it's just that we seem to be playing right into that national media narrative. And if people, say it to be true. Say it, it'll become true. Make it a daily affirmation. No. You got too good of a team, Tampa Bay. Your Buccaneers, you got too many success stories on this Buccaneers team. Don't play into the national media and go, oh, we're supposed to be 4-13 and we're going to, draft. No. Win the South for that third consecutive season. Get a run at the playoffs and still I said playoffs, and still have that success. And it's not just because as a Bucs fan I want to see them winning, which I do, but at the end of the day, don't let the national media tell you how you're supposed to be. Don't let the national talking. Don't let Peter King, who basically after week 4 admitted he had his head shoved up his ass, and now he's probably sitting there going, well, no, I was right. No, Peter King, you weren't. You mailed it in on that one like the rest of the national media. The fact of the matter is this Buccaneers team has enough dogs, enough talent, and enough veteran leadership to not be 2-15, to not be the worst team in the league, and not be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. So Buccaneers tomorrow against the Carolina Panthers there at Raymond James Stadium, that home game, it's going to be 95 degrees on the field. It's going to be hot. Have the Carolina defense going for IVs at halftime. Have Bryce Young running for his life. And Buccaneers offense, just hold on and consistently gives time of possession. 60 minutes in a football game, 15, 15, 15, and 15. Buccaneers, hold on to that ball for north of 38 minutes tomorrow. Give me north of 40, and I'll guarantee you we win by 10 points. Possess the ball enough that your defense is not as tired as the opposing team's defense, which, by the way, even though Carolina is not Minnesota, they should still be not used to this heat and humidity that we'll have here tomorrow in Tampa Bay. It comes down, just like it did with Peter Blake and I in the Sports Web and AmTep Sports covering the Bulls as they get that victory 3 weeks ago against Temple Owls, when Coach Arians and Bulls and them were in the house in the private suite, at least we heard, on a good authority that they were. It comes down on this in December 3rd in Tampa Bay with 95 degrees on the field. And I wish they would have the thermometer on the field tomorrow to show you. It's so friggin' hot out here. The team that yes. So Buccaneers represent. And us fans in the stands will represent with you. Represent. Hold the ball. At least give their team tired and utilize the home field advantage. And then when we're playing the rest of the games, we're playing in the Dome in New Orleans, the Saints, or we're playing against the Falcons, or we're playing in Carolina on the last game of the season when it's probably going to be colder than heck. We can go up there, and we've already proven we can play below 38 degrees. Although I think it's a big ask for Carolina and Charlotte to be below 38 degrees. But I know it's January. But represent at home, possess the ball, tire the other team out, and win. Doesn't matter if it's ugly. Doesn't matter if it's 3-0. I'll bet the under all day long if you tell me we're going to get that victory. Just possess the ball so the other team's offense doesn't continue to find things that work. So Bryce Young doesn't become a Hall of Fame inductee on his first season because Baker Mayfield was throwing 5 wheel routes for touchdowns against the Bucs. Don't be that Buccaneers team. And Coach Bowles, if they are in doubt, if at halftime the game is still in question and it's because the mistakes are being made or because the team's not playing with that confidence, chew someone's butt. Do that stuff. I think Buccaneer fans would consider it a successful Sunday, December 3rd. Harry Berg, my guy. Go Bucs, go. The Bears need that pick from Carolina. I'll tell you what, Harry. We'll take care of getting the Panthers to 1-11 so the Bears get the number 1 overall pick. My question to you, Harry, is are they really going to go after quarterback? Is Justin Fields not the guy? Because, you know, if things don't work out here in Tampa Bay, maybe the Bucs are looking for a quarterback. And, of course, you got Justin Fields under contract for 2 more years if they exercise the 5th-year option. And maybe we're calling the Bears and we're like, oh, well, hey, you know, maybe we can work something out. And maybe the Bucs use that. Again, if things went south, maybe the Bucs use that top 10 pick. I think I'd be safe to say if things don't go south, if things went south with the Bucs, it'd be a top 10 pick. Maybe they use that on another offensive lineman or defensive player, and maybe Justin Fields comes here. I know Bucs fans, you're about to jump on me and say, hell no. I don't know. Just saying. Harry the Greek, my guy, is a big Bears fan. Thanks for joining me. I am getting off. I was going to stay here, but this game is just so damn good. People aren't coming out here. I got a freak. I'll go and thank my guy Oscar from the Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection and some of the other folks that came out here. Ashley, who shared her friend there for a minute from Sarasota. Thank you all for coming on. I love the passion because that's what we're all about. And hope you guys have a good Saturday night. I hope we get rested. Enjoy the game tomorrow. And remember, win, lose, or draw, it's going to be a win. But I always say 2 things on Cup of Ray. One, it's about the journey. It's not just a destination. So enjoy week to week because Lord knows there's only 17 weeks of games and then, you know, a playoffs, a postseason if you get there. But don't spend these weeks being hateful or hating the fact that we didn't do this. Just enjoy it. Look for the small successes. And, of course, I always end it with everyone needs to know someone cares today or this weekend. Why don't you be the one who lets them know? It means a lot. Thanks for joining me out here for a Cup of Ray. Let me go ahead and run my show one more time, my showrunner, because I just love it. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, I'd be remiss if I didn't do a shout-out to my guy, Peter Blake. Of course, him and JP Peterson will be doing a post-game show from Raymond James Stadium tomorrow. And I saw the comments and the blow-up last week. I see the post-game show. I know y'all want to tune in and talk about it. I don't blame you, because so do I. So make sure you tune in tomorrow for the post-game show there with Peter Blake and JP Peterson. And who knows, maybe I'll jump in there myself. Are now supported in the studio. Okay. So it's been a Cup of Ray. Have a great evening, everyone. Enjoy the rest. I'm going to give you a quick update. So it looks like, 17-7 still, Alabama, but Georgia is trying to move the ball. Oh, Bama's playing some defense, but Georgia does have it inside Bama's 20. Have a great evening, everyone. We'll see you guys on the next Cup of Ray.